What is the difference between the knowledge of good and evil and the discerning of spirits? The difference between the knowledge of good and evil and discerning of spirits is the knowledge of good and evil has to do with, the similarity is they both have to do with judgment, okay? Passing judgment on something and deciding that something is right or wrong, good or evil, right? The knowledge of good and evil typically has to do with judging someone's character, someone's worthiness, the validity, significance, whatever. Like the knowledge of good and evil is going to start measuring all this stuff and coming to conclusions, and will lend toward performance or pride or deception, even like tapping into some weird stuff to try and get to a certain outcome. We're going to contrast that with the gift of discerning of spirits. That gift is designed to determine the nature of something. So to separate in the spirit what is and is not happening, or what all is happening. It might be multiple things, right? And so looking at what is good and what's evil and being able to tell the difference. And it's not about deciding that this person's worthy of love or not. We don't go there. The gift doesn't do that. It simply separates, hey, this thing going on here is twisted and perverse. This thing here, though, is beautiful and right and good. And then with the gift, you're then able to recognize, okay, we don't accept or celebrate that thing, but we do protect and embrace this thing. And so in relationship especially, that can get complicated if you don't have understanding on it. But if you can recognize and separate what's at play, your decisions become a lot simpler. And then we just simply get to have the guts to let whatever sacrifice needs to happen for us to rightly relate to the things the Lord has instituted without tipping our hat or bowing to evil in the process, right? The gift of discerning of spirits makes a distinction between the source, origin, and nature of a thing in the spirit. The knowledge of good and evil is tapping into passing judgment on whether something is right or wrong, good or bad, and then from that place, I then get to make decisions, chiefly void of dependence on the Lord. The knowledge of good and evil is looking for a way for us to not have to depend on Him, for us to not have to need Him, for Him not to have to clarify stuff or lead us, that we can just do it on our own. We've ascertained the resource and the connection and the help that we need apart from God to be able to drive things on our own. It's rebellion, it's orphanhood, you know what I mean? It leads to those things. And so the knowledge of good and evil marries us to the law. It forces us to have to pass judgment on stuff that we don't have grace for. The gift of discernment helps us recognize the nature of those things and to be able to choose life and say no to death. I know there's way more that could be said here, but for the sake of time, I'm going to leave it alone.